Okay. So it says recording on my end. Does it say anything on yours? Are we good?
We are good.
Yeah. I have confidence it's going to work. Hello. Welcome. Uh, this is one version of finding common ground. My name is Andrew. Uh, we're going to post this on channels discussing current events. Um, we kind of are coming at things from a different direction, but ultimately, hopefully, by the end of this, we will disagree a little bit less. We'll come to the realization that we have more in common than we realize. So I'll let Kody now introduce himself. This is Kody.
So, Andrew, you said it perfectly because I think that the idea is we have more in common than we have disagreements. And that we're going to have disagreements. Humans are humans, you know? Um, but I'm Kody from the Brothers Blue podcast channel. Our podcast is With That Being Said. We're about to start back up again. We kind of have been on a vacation hiatus. I went back home and stuff like that. So it was nice going to Washington, but it's time to get back to talking about stuff and putting out content. So I guess
I'm
I can
getting
bring
a
up.
lot of lag on your end. Are you getting lag on?
No, it's fine on my side. Um, but why don't we go ahead and
Okay.
jump into it and talk
Yeah.
about our first topic that we were thinking about talking about? And I think it's so. What did I say? The social and
Go ahead.
cultural
I'll try and.
landscape. Good. So, anyways, it's the social and cultural landscape that millennial men are facing when it comes to dating and employment. So it's just and I'd actually even extend it to Gen Z because my son is Gen Z. He's 15. He's living in this very weird world for men as well. Um, and so, like, that's another thing that I put a lot of importance into is just trying to be a good role model to him, because he has like I'm divorced, so he has like a stepdad or whatever who's a good dude, and he has another positive male influence in his life. So I try to be that as well. Is young men need positive male role models, and I think you agree.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I agree that there's a problem.
Yeah.
What would you say is the root? I have my own suspicions, but I want to hear yours first. What do you think is like
Thank
at
you.
the root of this issue?
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's a good way to take it, because it's not something I have specifically written down, but it's something that I've been thinking about leading up to this conversation. And that is like I really don't like the term toxic masculinity because if you put the word toxic in front of anything, it's not good. So but anyways, I think there are certain people in like what would be called the manosphere, like Andrew Tate and Myron Gaines, who runs the Fresh and Fit podcast. These are guys that are not good for young men. I think we do have some solid role models. I tried to share with you that guy, Scott Galloway. Scott Galloway is an older gentleman. He's a professor at NYU. He has some really good things to say about the challenges that young men are facing, and also good things to say about what it means to be a good role model. So I guess where I would say is like these bad faith characters like
Yeah, so
Andrew
we
Tate and Myron
agree.
Gaines.
Oh. No, I don't like Andrew Tate either. I made a video kind of not
Right.
calling him out because whatever, I'm fucking nobody. But he has this thing that like depression isn't real and all this other
Right.
stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
shut up, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're such a corrupt person that like depression isn't real because
Yeah.
if depression is real and you looked at yourself honestly, you would be extraordinarily depressed with who you are. So I agree with you that there's just no good, or there are few positive representations of what masculinity is in
Right.
our sort of culture, and I think partially that's intentional,
Sure.
because um, they want people. I Okay, conspiracy. Let's just jump into it right away. But
Sure.
the ruling powers, the ruling elites, they just want kind of a dumb population, and they've
Yes, a dumb
succeeded in a
electorate.
lot of ways. Um, and so, yeah, we have a masculinity crisis, and I think in conjunction with that, and so they sort of exacerbate each other. There's also a cost of living crisis where men who even want families can't afford to start a family,
Right.
and so that just sort of aggravates the whole cycle. Um, and so,
You're 100% right.
what are your
And
thoughts on that? On our cost of living crisis?
yeah. So this is one area where I actually talked to Kyle kind of about this is, and I've told you that I've dealt with depression or whatever. But anyways, I've been lucky enough financially to where I haven't faced a lot of the problems that are facing uh, men our age when it comes to economics, finance, the job place, everything. Um, I've just been lucky enough to have good jobs and get paid pretty well throughout my career, different careers that I've had. So, like right now, I'm unemployed. I'm unemployed for like one of the first times ever in like 14 years. Yeah. So, but I also am not like extremely financially struggling. So, like, I'm entering the job market to find the job that I want, not that I need. So that's lucky. I'm lucky in that aspect. It's pretty cool. All right. So,
Uh, and what there's maybe a question I want to get to, but I don't want to ask it just yet right away. What do you think the root? Why is everything so expensive? Like, what is the origin of this?
so I think it's actually, and I actually have conspiratorial thoughts about this as well. I think our economic system is controlled by three factors, and they're all billionaires. It's billionaire families, flipping you off, billionaire families, billionaire corporations, and individual billionaires. So the individuals, Elon, Bezos, Zuckerberg, these guys are not good for society, and they control pretty much everything that you consume when it comes to media. Families. The families are like the Hunt family controls all oil, the Mars family, and the family that is like the owners of Nestle, they control all of the food that we eat. And so then finally there's the corporations, and it's BlackRock and Vanguard and what was Rock Berkshire Hathaway, these companies that don't do anything. They just invest in the stock market, and like, BlackRock owns 6% of Facebook, but 6% of Facebook is billions of dollars. So that's why I think everything's expensive, because the powers that be that control these levers are ratcheting up right now. So yeah, I'm a little crazy too.
And so I agree with you in that the billionaires work in. George Carlin said it really well. He said you don't need a formal conspiracy when mutual interests converge. And that's what we have with what I see as
Oh
the
yeah, sorry.
political class, or the that's why I use the word oligarch class a
That's what
lot,
it is.
because while Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk,
Right.
well, yeah, see, and that's what it is. And so this is so funny because I feel like this is where people we get here as people, and we're like, well, we don't really like all of this, but then
Right.
we get to the division factor, um which maybe this isn't yeah, I just want to ask this question because it kind of it cuts to the core of the division. And underneath the culture wars, there's this sort of capitalism versus collectivism,
Sure.
you know, ideological battle going. And you had made a statement in a previous thing we did with Steven. Shout out to Steven, by the way. He's hosting his own Common Ground event this upcoming
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I love what he's doing.
Yep.
But anyways, you had made a comment that capitalism has killed a lot of people. And I'm curious. I'm just like, I want to hear your case for how capitalism kills people.
Sure.
Um,
So
because I like capitalism.
right. So my argument would be that anyone who dies from starvation, like yesterday, tomorrow, whatever, that's a death due to capitalism. Because I personally think that the oligarchy is propped up by our capitalist system. And actually, this is something, Andrew, I'm glad you asked. This is something that I've thought about: is the oligarchy and capitalism can exist at the same time. And you're right, we have made capitalism into like the worst thing ever from what it actually could be. But with that being said, I think again those two systems just hold each other up. And I told Kody the other day, my son, I don't think I'm going to see the end of it. I don't think I'll see the end of the capitalist regime. But you know, it might be happening soon because the American experiment is 250 years old. Um, so deaths under capitalism is like a death from starvation right now. That's a death due to capitalism. um,
How?
I have a question actually.
How?
Oh, how? Because our
Well,
current system is
I
capitalist.
asked you a question.
No, you said, yeah, you said how, right?
That's
So
sort of a circular answer, though. In our current, well, so two wrongs there. Circular reasoning, but with a flawed premise. So, like, how does someone dying of starvation? How is that capitalism's fault? Connect those dots for me.
because the system that we currently have is capitalist. That's it.
That doesn't connect the dots, though,
I'm sorry.
because the system we have is capitalist. That also doesn't explain how that doesn't explain how the ideology of the free trade of goods and services has led to someone's death. Let me give an example. In communist countries, people are literally lined up and shot. That is a point A to point B, how communism kills. Someone dying on the street who is more than likely capable of getting some form of help, because there are resources. The resources suck. Starvation's maybe not a great example, but that still doesn't explain how capitalism kills. what is the mechanism that kills someone?
Starvation. Hey man, if you don't mind, I'd
So
actually rather
capitalism didn't
talk
kill
about.
them.
I'd rather talk about something else because we didn't even bring this up as a topic that we were going to talk about. So do you think,
Well,
and this goes back to the topic that we were talking about, and it has to do with masculinity. Um, so do you think empathy is a feminine trait?
I'm just still stuck on the starvation thing, but I'll try to redirect because it's like it's just at the core of our dividing culture wars, and like we still cannot agree on a definition for capitalism. Empathy is it leans towards like a feminine trait, but that doesn't mean an empathetic man is a feminine man. That doesn't mean men shouldn't,
Exactly.
be
Exactly.
empathetic.
Exactly. That's what I was hoping you would say is empathy. Sure, it can be construed as a feminine trait, but men have empathy as well. And when a man shows empathy, that doesn't mean it's feminine. So,
Yeah, actually, that's a great segue into some of my notes where your brother, your brother made a comment recently on one of Steven's uh, videos with Dr. Autumn about a genetic health issue that you all have. And your brother just has seemed kind of grumpy. And I get it because, health issues are scary and they suck. But then also, on this note, I just want to say that hope is scary, as crazy as that sounds. And so anytime people even try to present the possibility of hope for some sort of change or improvement, that can be scary. Um, I wanted to note that after that uh, panel or the conversation they had, Stephen, Autumn, and myself we created a group chat where we've been talking about the two of you and trying to find resources if you would want them to, as on my email chain, sort of explore improving the quality of life.
sure.
Words are hard because people get stuck on them. So, like, remission or cure or whatever, it's not the right word. I have my own health issues, and it's about mitigating sort of the bad aspects and then maximizing the possible quality of life. And so literally we even, Stephen floated the idea of having another group conversation with you two. We could, something like healing through conversation, just trying to explore ways that we could offer healing help to you. Because uh no, being empathetic is we're allowed to as men.
Yeah,
So we are
right.
going to throw that out there. They really wanted
Oh,
me to touch on the biology of belief. I don't know if you've heard of that or not.
no,
Essentially, it's like the placebo effect,
right.
but there's a whole scientific, experiment this guy did. So I would encourage you to check that out. Um, yeah, and then one more note, since I'm already on my notes and it's still kind of connected. For you and your brother, you had also lamented in one of your post episodes when your the post Steven, myself, and you all's collaboration, that you don't know when you'll be able to be on Steven's show again. And I had a thought that you two are still taking a very passive approach to all of this, because you two could invite him onto your show. And I
Oh,
think
great
that's
idea.
something you guys should do. Um,
Great idea.
yeah, he'd totally probably be willing. Um,
I want Autumn to come
um,
onto our show because this is my thing. First of all, I think it's awesome that you put Autumn and Steven in touch because literally, like, I've known her since 7th grade. I was her boyfriend in middle school. Like, I know Autumn, and I was following her Instagram, Thriving Rebel Wellness, and just the way she talked and the things that she kind of like the way she projected herself, I was like, her and Steven should talk. They should collaborate. And that was a really good episode of his. I watched it live. Hopefully you did. Yeah, I think you did. It was a good episode. Um, so thank you for putting them in touch because I also was telling Kyle, I was like, Kyle, these people need to be in touch, and you and Andrew and me should make it happen. So thank you for doing that. Um, the disease is whatever, man, and like that's my thing is like I am open-minded to where I'd be willing to look at any kind of thing that would help. But at the same time, I'm pragmatic about it in that like my dad died from it, my uncle died from it, the two men that preceded them died from it. And then there again, it's always been weirdly a set of two brothers for the Shryock family. So I have my dad and my uncle, and that's it. And then their dad and had only one brother, and that was it. And then before that, the dad had one brother. So, anyways, it's been just the thing that happens is like none of them live past 55, and that's because it's just one little. And I taught biology, so like I know how DNA works and stuff. Like it's one gene that is mutated, and so if that one gene is not mutated, then you don't get the disease. So there's like I don't know, there's like a 4% chance of that or something like that. I don't know. Sorry, I kind of went off there a little bit.
no, because that's like epigenetics and gene expression and all of that. It's all connected.
Yep.
And I wanted to talk about healthcare a little bit too, because eh, ugh, I don't want to open the can of worms, but we can use healthcare as an example of how to discuss how America's not a capitalist country, because there are so many regulations and restrictions and the whole oh my gosh, okay, well, culture war, let's maybe just go there. They're so real and they're so visceral. Your brother made the comment just the other day on Steven's show that RFK Senior would be so disappointed in his son.
That was
And I
funny.
just
Come on,
like
that was just funny.
that was that was like such an NPC, like, narrative talking point,
Something I forgot to also
because
mention is Kyle seeming
man,
grumpy. You're accurate. Kyle is grumpy. He's just in a bad mood most of the time. That's not actually true, but like, no, we kind of joke about this and we have these conversations where it's like, and this is actually why I'm glad that you and I were able to sit down and do this because Kyle is fucking argumentative and just like not as agreeable as I am. And most people would say this. So you're right. You are right with your diagnosis. So, but here's something also, Andrew, is I just don't think one thing that I don't know that we will agree on is that I don't just think America is capitalist. I think the world has a neoliberal global capitalist system controlling it. Not just America, the whole world. And yes, sure, this Chinese Communist Party is a thing and it's scary. But honestly, not as scary as Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. So, in my opinion, that's what I have to say. Again, we're allowed to disagree, man. We're allowed to do that.
Well, see, but I don't like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, and so
Right.
we share that in common. And then it's like you judge me for having these boogeymen like the World Economic Forum, but like who are the World Economic Forum but
Yeah.
billionaires who want to control the world?
So I'll admit I actually
So
need
like
to do more research on the WEF and it's the ICB, right? There's also the International Bank or whatever. I'll just be honest with you. I haven't done enough research on these two things for me to like talk about them the way I want to. So sorry.
well, and that's fine. And so when I see, but like, okay, can you provide a definition for capitalism besides like the current system that we have? Like, can you define capitalism? Like, let's start there. Let's try to get there.
So something Steven frequently does is just pull up a like definition. So again, like asking me to define it is fine, but like I'd rather have a definition. Do you know what I mean? So an economic system where private individuals and businesses own the means of production and operation for them to be profitable. Sorry. So I think that
And
we
so then I would
have
argue that private people do not own.
yeah, so it says private individuals and businesses
Okay, and so
own the
then
means of
if you're
production. Sorry. And so that's what I was saying earlier. Like the companies, in my opinion, are like BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street and Berkshire Hathaway. These companies that control our entire economic system, and like it's like four companies. But it doesn't make it not capitalism. It's still capitalism. Sorry.
but then like you will also say that it's like we have oligarchs, and then you will also say that there are oppressive forces. And what I guess then is your alternative solution?
I I don't know. And I've actually said this. So I think post capitalism will be something that I probably don't live to see. Um, but I also don't know what it will be. And the thing about this is like people who lived in agrarian times, do you think they could imagine the system that we have now? No, they would think it's absolutely alien and insane. But that's kind of the case that I'm making is that like hopefully what we have after this is something so awesome we can't even describe it. Again, being hopeful. Excuse me.
Well, and I hope so too. Um, I
So
don't hate billionaires because they're successful and
sure.
rich. I hate the connection that they have with the state because they wouldn't exist if the state didn't exist. there's an not inexplicable, that's not the right word, but like they're inseparable in our current system. Um, so I like to think that whatever post capitalism is, it's also post state, because
Maybe. Yeah,
without the
maybe.
state, we wouldn't have these super rich people.
Hey, maybe, man. Um, but again, I feel like we've kind of gotten off topic. And I have just like one more note, if it's okay with you, to talk about like the, well, actually, I kind of wanted to talk about the subject at hand on a personal level. Like, I'm like 37 and moderately good looking and financially stable. And the dating market for me is really fucking weird. I'm guessing it is for you too. And I'm just lucky that we talked about having a conversation about dating and employment being hard for millennial men in the social and cultural landscape that we're facing. Um, and so, yeah, I'm lucky on the employment side that it hasn't been so bad for me, but I know how bad the economy can be for some people our age. And yeah, again, dude, just the dating thing is weird as I don't know, it's just weird. So
Um, I literally gave up trying 5 years ago to date.
sure.
But I'm paying attention to what's going on and everything. So here, I hate that I have to preface it whenever I go there, but I'll go conspiracy theorist mode. I think we have social engineers whose entire objective is designed around how we can turn humans into essentially organic robotic slaves. And what we're seeing in the dating market is how successful that they have been. In a lot of ways, they have commodified the essence of man and the essence of woman to
Yeah.
participate in this gross system that we have.
Yeah.
Um, we they it's all intentional. It's very,
Right.
very sad, and
Great.
I wish I had advice for you because it sucks. Being single sucks.
Right.
Um, but
Yeah.
and
I
it's
talked about
also
a
like,
year
can
and a
I just
half
maybe
ago.
go on a little like I think women should have entire autonomy. Women should, have be free to do whatever with their body, but I think the over and hyper sexualization that we see in our culture, how like OnlyFans is a joke, and it's just really sad. Like
Right.
it's just really sad. But that's
Yeah.
just uh,
Right. Because
but
and
that's where the
if
social engineers want us.
and
Um,
where the
so
social engineers are not missing a step is they're doing both sexes. So like I think that dating right now is also a very weird situation for millennial women. And yeah, we're all just in it together, just trying to get through it. Um, but one of my last notes was so I think, and like that I'm open about being on the left side of the political spectrum, liberal, progressive, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't really care. But you know where I land and generally where I'm voting. Um, and I think dudes on the left face a false narrative about masculinity because, like, I think the narrative is that like dudes or the left just produces all the soy boy cucks, and like I'm sorry, I'm covered in tattoos. I have a beard. I shoot guns all the time. Like there's not really a lot of feminine things about me, but I'm still liberal. Yeah. So
I don't know. That was really not hear a lot of that. I heard a little bit of it. Something about soy boy cucks and the left, and tattoos and beard. Um,
yeah.
and then it just got quiet. Is there
So
a
what
way you
about
could
my
re-ask your
appearance?
question?
What about my appearance or anything that I project is feminine? Because I'm have other than empathy, which we agreed, empathy can be a masculine trait. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I land where I land politically, and so according to that, I should have like painted fingernails and like, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like one of my favorite things to do is go to the gun show and shoot guns. Like that's pretty masculine in our zeitgeist.
There's been there's been an interesting shift, I think, that has occurred also over like the last 10 years. Like the counter culture has shifted.
Yes.
Um, 10, 15 years ago, um, tattoos, piercings, and being sexually ambiguous, that was
Right.
sort of countercultural. And if you
Right.
had the courage to do those things, you were seen as masculine because you were going against
Ah.
the prevailing
Yeah.
narrative.
Got it.
But now that
Now it's all
the
of us.
narrative is shifted,
Yeah.
like what's seen as cool and tough, now it's about the guy who wants, a stay-at-home wife and who loves his country, and um they've that role has shifted, like it's interesting
It
because
is.
in that shift we've seen, and it's been very subtle, but people sort of aligning with the establishment. And that's where I think a lot of the negative attacks from the the conservatives now, who are sort of countercultural,
Sure. Yep. Right.
it comes from the fact that the the people who used to oppose the establishment now love and support the establishment, which has
Yeah.
been a magical sort of propaganda effort.
Yeah.
But it's because you're progressive and because you support the establishment that makes you now, uh, in their eyes, maybe. I don't think I've called you a beta suck
Right.
cuck
Right.
in a
Yeah.
long
You,
time.
you haven't directly insulted me. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, you're
but
right.
then, like, how do you reconcile your support for the establishment with the fact that it's full with billionaires that you hate?
It's hard to. And this is actually something that I've thought about, especially because, Trump won and obviously I didn't vote for him. But, anyways, and I kind of want to have this conversation also with Steven, but like, because, yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. But his last episode that he did, um, was really, really good, I thought. I enjoyed it a bunch. Um, Shoot, what was I saying? It's not so much that I have this support for the establishment. It's that I think it might behoove us to believe in the what are believe in the institutions that are in place. And so, like, again, like, mainstream science is not something I like want to argue a lot with. Um, but like that's an institution that I think we should believe in, and that will be strong enough to withstand any presidency. And that's the other thing too, is like, I'm a straight white dude. I'm gonna be fine during Trump's presidency. I voted for everyone else. I didn't vote for myself. I'll be fine. Do. So yeah, again, like I said, it's not so much that I love the establishment; it's that I think we should have faith in our institutions to get us through anything and everything that our wonderful democratic republic's going to throw at us.
So are these institutions the capitalistic? Like,
Yep.
so I guess, do you like where America's at? Or are we wrapping up, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wrapping up is fine. But I love where I'm at in America as much as it might. And that's the thing is, I think it's very hard for a lot of people right now. We've talked about this being a common thing that we agree on. A lot of people are struggling right now, and my heart goes out to them. But I'd straight up be lying if I said I was in the same boat as all of them, because I'm about to. So I have my third interview at the job that I'm probably going to get with a starting salary of 55,000. That's going to start next week probably. But yeah, again, like, and I'm not like financially stressed or like socially stressed or anything like that. So with where I'm at, I'm okay with where America is, but that's just me. Does that make sense?
Okay. And so I guess, if yeah, I'm not okay where America is, but like, that's, like, very much how our circumstances can shape our perspective around things.
Yes.
Um, Let me see if I'm. Choo, 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 choo. Yeah, no. I think we hit most of it. Um, any sort of closing notes you want to throw out there?
Just reiterating the point that I think it's awesome you put Autumn and Steven in touch because they're great people. And I think they have the interests of others like at the forefront of what they're trying to do. And that is their, their selflessness is something that we should all try to aspire to be better at. Um, And then also thank you for sitting down and carving out some time to talk to me. I think these types of conversations are important. And again, for the 12 people who see it, hopefully they'll get something positive out of it.
Yeah. Hopefully more than 12 people see it. But thank you for also carving out the time, and for ordering a t-shirt. I saw the tracking. It should be there like tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, dude, I was hoping to get
Um,
it in time for
that's
this
something I
episode, but
want to
yeah.
push more, but uh, we'll, gotta gotta work on them. We'll have to. I had some technical difficulties on my end. It was really distracting me a bit, so we'll have to try this again. But
Okay.
then also, yeah, we'll link up you, Stephen, Autumn. Um, we'll continue this, but
Yeah.
for now, I'm gonna hit the end record. Okay.